All right. So welcome to our talk today. We are doing Migrating Canada to the Cloud. We want to thank everybody for coming and attending naturally. And Susan and I will be emceeing the event today. So I'm going to hand it off to her for the first bit.
I guess it helps if I unmute myself, right?
Yeah, that definitely helps. Absolutely.
All right, I'm telling everybody about the cottage. Tell everybody be quiet and hear boat noise in the background. Very Canadian to be at the cottage. This is really exciting. What happened was that at Team 22 this year in Vegas, I was thrilled to meet in person Brendan and Frida. Yay, Brendan and Frida. From Vancouver and Jimmy from Guelph. These are people that during the pandemic, we knew each other virtually, but we had never met in person. So Jimmy had the bright idea of putting together a Canada Day Atlassian community event. Notice that the online leader, notice that the online leader had the idea of an event, but anyway, it was a great idea. So as soon as we were back from Team 22, we pitched the idea to Heather from Winnipeg, Martin from Montreal, and JP from Quebec City. And they all gave a resounding yes, let's do this. So the core team of Heather, Brendan, and Frida, Jimmy, and myself have been meeting regularly since mid-April to pull this together. And I have to say, we've had a lot of fun doing this. Jimmy is now an unofficial Canadian ACE leader. Even if he doesn't have his own city chapter, we let him participate. Heather and Susan have been the Uber organizers, and apparently Heather's got some musical qualities we did not realize. And Brendan is a quiz whiz, as you will see later. Jimmy is our content guide. He really helped us out with that. And Frida is our newest Canadian of our ACE leaders. So she researched all our Canadian themed decks, graphics, Zoom backgrounds, all this red that you see, that's due to Frida's research. So in this era of virtual ACE events, we hope to collaborate more in the future and definitely hope to make the Canada Day ACE an annual event. So join me in saying a big thank you to all the leaders. If you're a leader, put up like a hand or something or wave around so we know who you are. All the leaders, thank you so much for putting all your time and work into that. So I think we go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, we can't do these events without having sponsors. So we want to give a big thank you to our Canadian sponsors. All of the sponsors for these events are either 100% Canadian or have a large Canadian presence. We have sponsors all the way from Victoria, all the way across the country to Montreal, maybe Quebec City, I think. These sponsors providing gifts for the winners of our quizzes. So hang in there till the end of the quiz, everyone. And all of these sponsors were hugely supportive and excited to be involved in our first Canadian ACE. In fact, we had more offers for speaking and gifts that we could even handle in this single event. But we really look forward to working with all of these partners in the future events. So thank you very, very much. And give a wave out if you're one of the partners that's sponsoring today. Thank you. I see Marie, I know Pierre is here with a big flag. And so we're really thrilled, Adaptivist JP. So thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate it. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So we are thrilled to have Joanne from Atlassian. She is, I know all the partners know who Joanne is, but all our members probably haven't met Joanne unless they've been to one of the Toronto events in person. But Joanne is the channel manager for Canada, and we know her really well. Joanne provides immense support to the Canadian community leaders and is always active and supportive at all our events. She's just great. And she helped us arrange the sponsorship for this event, and we are forever grateful. So thank you so much, Joanne. So yeah, all right. So I guess we can switch it over to Joanne.
Yeah, she can go ahead and start screen sharing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, even with, I think you have to stop sharing so that I can share.
Oh, is it not cooperating today for that one?
There we go.
Okay.
Let's see now. Let's see if I can make this happen. I think if I use my desktop, you guys can see presentation.
You can see it.
Okay, so do you see
Yep, looks good.
the deck? Okay, so just like the main
Yep.
title page, right? Not any notes or anything. Okay.
You're good.
So, yeah, so continuing on with the Canada theme, how many of you guys know W5? That's like old school. I thought that it was only on CBC, but now it's on CTV now. I thought it was a CBC show for some reason, but W5, for those of you who don't know, shame on you if you're Canadian when you don't know W5. It is a show, an investigative journalism show that basically uncovers any type of, they do an investigative series on particular topics, and they ask the 5 W's. So what, why, where, when, and who. So I thought I would give you kind of like a W5 on partners and our solution partner ecosystem for Atlassian. So for those of you who have not engaged with a partner or would like to engage with a partner but don't really know what they do, I thought I'd kind of spend some time today to give you an overview of that, of partners. So yes, W5, the show. Who, what, where, when, and why. The Atlassian solution partner ecosystem and all of the wonderful things that our partners do to help our customers and to deploy our products within the country. So let's go through all of those as it relates to cloud migration. So who are our Atlassian solution partners? We have about 15 Canadian solution partners across the country. And you know, these partners provide a wide range of services. They're very knowledgeable on all of our Atlassian products and the way that they are deployed around configuration. Who is that, Susan? They also help customize solutions and implement our software, as well as provide consulting services and training for those customers that need training. So there's a great little page on our website called Find Migration Partner, or Engaging with a Solution Partner for Your Cloud Migration. And I've put the URL at the bottom there. I'm happy to share that. I'll put it in the chat after the presentation is over. So that you can go take a look, and it's a really great page to kind of take you to where you can connect with a partner. If you click on that blue button, it will take you to to fill out a form, and an intake form of sorts to help you find a partner for your migration. So, all right. Now the what. So what do Atlassian solution partners actually do? Can they help you with your migration? Absolutely. They can do a variety of things. I've only listed a few of the things that they can do, but they range in services anywhere from cloud assessment and scoping out the entire migration effort, understanding any of the gaps that need to be addressed, and making sure that that everything is in line with your business goals. They can help with app assessments and making sure that all of that data that resides in the apps can move over and migrate over effectively. They provide support end to end. So right from the beginning, all the way to the end of the migration, from the assessment phase, all the way to the launch and production phase. They are there to hold your hand throughout the entire migration. So you're not doing it alone. They also have a lot of expertise on user management and governance around single sign-on and centralized user management as well. And they're able to provide you with training and enablement for all of your teams around cloud, around the UI. It does look a little different than our on-prem UI. So So all of the things that your organization might need in order to be successful in the cloud, they can help you with all of that. And then of course, they can help you with that ongoing cloud optimization. So making sure that the Atlassian cloud can evolve as your team grows, as your needs change. They can help you go through all of those changes smoothly. So is that Susan? Can you unmute, or whoever, there's background noise there, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Do we know who that's from?
Oh, it's not Susan. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, I just assumed it was you because you're at the cottage. Sorry, my bad. All right, so let's go on here. Let's go on to the next slide. Hold on. Whoop. What is happening? Oh, there we go. So where can I find a partner? That's the big question. So if you haven't seen this page already, it is the partnerdirectory.atlassian.com. And you can go there and search for a partner by country, by city, by the actual partner name, if you already know which partner you want to work with, and then by the different areas of expertise as well that each partner has. So I kind of circled Canada in red there. That's a good place to start. That will give you a list of all of the partners in Canada, and then you can make a decision from there. Or if you don't want to go to the partner directory and it's too overwhelming, you can also contact me and I can give you some recommendations as well, depending on what you're looking for in terms of your migration. So when should you as a customer engage with a partner? Well, there are a number of instances where using a partner is very optimal, and we encourage our customers to engage early with our partners and as often as they can, especially for cloud migration customers that have 750 users up to or greater than 5,000. So anywhere between 750 and 5,000, but we have seen smaller instances or customers with smaller user tiers also engage partners. The size of the users, sometimes, yes, there's more data to migrate, but sometimes the migration can be just as complex with a smaller number of user counts as well as the larger ones. So I encourage you to reach out to a partner as early as possible in your migration discussions. And then if you have more than 6 marketplace apps, by all means, definitely engage with a partner. And then if you have JSM or Bitbucket in the mix as well, we highly recommend partner engagement. And then if you're new to cloud migration, a lot of our Canadian customers are still on server or data center, used to the on-prem products that we have. So if cloud is new and scary for you and you don't have in-house expertise, partners are the ones that can help you here, because they've helped so many of our customers migrate to the cloud successfully. So they know all of the roadblocks and the hiccups associated with migrations, and more likely than not, they have experienced all of the things that could possibly come up in a migration or could cause delays. And so it really helps to engage with a partner in your migration. And then in terms of resources, a lot of customers, they're struggling with headcount, or they have limited headcount and bandwidth available to actually dedicate to a migration effort. And so partners can bring in that end-to-end support, working with our cloud migration managers. So in the past year and a half or so, I would say, Atlassian has brought on an entire team of cloud migration managers to help our partners, our customers, move to the cloud. So it's a large team dedicated to just migrations. And so partners have direct access to that team as well. So yeah, it's a real collaborative effort. It takes a village, and so they're there to help as well. Oh yeah, so a little animation, sorry. So the last W is why. So why should I work with a partner? I mean, I think I can do it on my own. But did you know that DIY migrations actually require 1 to 4 full-time employees? Sometimes, especially if the migration is particularly large and complex, there really is that learning curve there in terms of kind of navigating through the cloud migration. So partners can help with that risk mitigation. They're used to dealing with change management and really help mitigate that risk for you and your customer, or for your customer. And then they can also help with training and consulting around to the customer as well. So, and then that will ensure that your migration will be in scope and on time, which is always good. And then the last point is with respect to speed. And if we've noticed that if you have a partner engaged in your migration, that migration will finish sooner than later. So because that partner is able to leverage internal Atlassian resources, and the partner can do a lot of the heavy lifting that you don't have to do as a user. They're able to actually complete the migration a lot faster than if you were to do it alone. So again, just to reiterate, migrations go a lot smoother and a lot faster with a partner involved. So I highly encourage engaging with a partner as soon as you can, as soon as you're, interested in potentially going to the cloud. I know that February 2024 is looming, and it will be here sooner than you think. So the sooner you start to kind of, look at what would be involved in moving to the cloud, and what that scope is going to look like and how long it's going to take you, partners can help you kind of determine all of that and put you on a right path for a successful cloud migration. So sorry, I kind of rushed through that, I feel like, but that is it from my side. Hold on, let me see if I can stop sharing. All right.
Thank you, Joanne. That was really helpful. Certainly, we're at that process of considering our migration and know and you made a lot of very valid points.
Great, thank you.
All right, so our next speaker here on our lineup is Krista Steller. She's from Highway 3 Solutions out here in beautiful British Columbia, and she'll be talking about why now is the time to migrate. And as much as everybody likes to procrastinate, time is ticking on there. So thank you. Krista?
Thanks, Brendan. Okay. No. Just get going. This is always the nerve-wracking moment I find, is getting it going. Okay. Does everybody see that slide? Excellent.
All good.
Okay. So, yeah, thanks, Brendan. With less than 2 years until server end of life rolls around, things are getting real around here. And 2 years may sound like a long time, but we know how quickly time can slip through our fingers if we're not paying attention. Besides, there are many great things about Jira and Confluence Cloud. So the real question is, why wait? And today I'm here to share our top 10 reasons why you should plan your migration now. And as Brendan mentioned, I'm Krista Steller, a senior Atlassian consultant with Highway 3 Solutions. And for over 20 years, Highway 3 has been providing custom software solutions for our clients. And we now bring our trademark client focus to our Atlassian practice, where we help teams leverage the Atlassian tooling so they can get the most out of their investment. I've been around even longer than Highway 3, working in the software development industry as a developer, analyst, and project manager. I leverage my experience in all of these roles when helping our clients. Recently, I've narrowed my gaze to focus on supporting clients as they embark upon their journey to the Atlassian cloud. A very common mood around migrating to Atlassian cloud products can be summed up as, ugh. And I get it. Anything done under duress, not by choice, will be met mostly with resistance. Pile that on top of what is likely an already full plate of work for the typical Jira or Confluence admin, and add a dash of change, and voila, you get ugh. If your team or organization happens to include humans, then a typical response to ugh would be avoidance, procrastination, denial, and I also get those feelings. Today, I want to share with you good news. Add some sugar to the medicine you may be feeling you are forced to swallow. The first reason to migrate now is because, well, it's the cloud. A few years ago, Atlassian looked at the future of their product line and could see the convergence of digital transformation and the growing demands on system administrators to keep up with changes and maintaining on-premise applications. And they switched their focus, going all in with providing best-in-class cloud solutions. According to a recent Gartner report, by 2023, they predict 70% of enterprises will migrate entirely away from on-prem data centers in favor of co-location and cloud infrastructure. And if there was a time before early 2020 when you may have been skeptical, the transformations that happened for many organizations during the pandemic, they demonstrated how cloud and software as a service can allow teams to respond rapidly to changing needs and a work from anywhere ethos. The second reason to migrate, so you can elevate the impact of your IT team. The return on investment of Atlassian Cloud allows your organization to reallocate infrastructure costs and IT resources to strategic business priorities. Atlassian does the heavy lifting, and that frees up your IT team to focus on supporting your core business. Plus, Atlassian Cloud products give you access to admin controls that allow you to optimize application management with sandboxes, release tracks, and more. Reason number 3 is actually 5 reasons rolled into one big benefit. It's security, governance, reliability, privacy, and compliance. Security is built into the fabric of Atlassian Cloud products, infrastructure, and processes, secure by design and secure in practice. Reliability means infrastructure takes advantage of elastic scale, multi-level redundancy, and failure options across regions to reduce latency, maintain reliability, and can scale with your organization's needs. It also means real-time status transparency and guaranteed availability. Atlassian's internal privacy processes and procedures are documented transparently, so you can rest assured your data is handled with the utmost care. And Atlassian Cloud products regularly undergo independent verification of their security, privacy, and compliance controls, achieving certifications, attestations of compliance, and audit reports against standards globally. Number 4 is Atlassian Access. It's a new cloud-only product, an organization-wide subscription that connects your Atlassian Cloud products to your identity provider. It allows you to enable enterprise-grade authentication features and additional oversight across your company domains. 2 of the features that get most admins excited is single sign-on and automated user provisioning that works. Access lets you manage user identities and security group memberships via your chosen identity provider and have that flow seamlessly to how your users access the Atlassian Cloud products. And right after I'm done, I believe you'll be hearing more about Access from one of our other panelists for today. If there is a buzzword for our times, it might be collaboration, and rightfully so. And because Atlassian Cloud products are designed to connect people and knowledge, we think it's easily reason number 5 to migrate now. With more and more teams working remotely and at the same time doing more with less, Making sure teams are working together efficiently and effectively has never been more important. Atlassian understands that and has invested deeply in products and features that align teams and allow them to go beyond the buzzword to actually getting things done together. We're past the halfway point, and reason number 6 to move to the cloud now is extensibility. Atlassian understands that Jira and Confluence are not the only tools your team is using. And in the cloud, you will have access to new and improved integrations that are easy to configure and provide seamless experience for users, reduce context switching, and improve productivity and flow. Extending the Atlassian products gives teams the flexibility to access things like Jira issues and Confluence pages when and where it makes the most sense for each individual's user's needs. Automation allows you to scale efficiently and allocate resources to what matters most. It frees up your team from small manual tasks so they can focus on what is important to your business. Automation is available natively as part of Jira Cloud and just released also Confluence Cloud. Automation is also reason number 7 to migrate now. Jira and Confluence automations are built using a no-code visual rule builder and are based upon a simple combination of trigger plus condition plus action. Number 8 in our top 10 reasons to move to the cloud now is so that you can leverage the power of your data. More and more, we are discovering the value of information and data, but it's all for nothing if you can't explore, make connections, and analyze. There has always been JQL and CQL, and coming soon will be even more ways for you to customize how to analyze your data. Plus, if you thought moving to the cloud meant you would lose access to the data under the covers, then think again, as Atlassian is finalizing their data lake feature, which will provide fully modeled data across all Atlassian products. We're almost there. Reason number 9 is all about rebates and incentives. The biggest discounts were offered in the early days of the cloud product rollout, but that doesn't mean you've lost out entirely. If you subscribe before July 23, you'll still be eligible for a 20% discount. And on top of that, Atlassian continues to offer incentives to help make it easier to balance the cost of renewing your server licenses along with moving to cloud licensing plans, either through extended cloud trials or step-up credit. Atlassian is looking for ways to extend your server investment so you don't have to pay double while you're on your migration journey. The final reason we believe now is the time to start planning your migration. The migration process is well understood and supported with plenty of tools. The migration tools provided by Atlassian are mature, fully functioning, and automate many aspects of migrating. Plus, Atlassian partners, like Highway 3 Solutions, have hands-on real-life experience with migrating teams. No longer will you be an early adopter, and you can reap the benefits of the explorers that have gone before you. Thanks everyone for your time and attention, and I'll leave one question for you to ponder. What are you waiting for?
Thank you, Krista.
Thanks.
Okay, I think I'll just jump in here and I'll introduce myself. I am Jimmy. I am an online leader from Guelph, Ontario, Canada. And I am currently the R&D Tools Administrator at Arctic Wolf Networks. I am an Atlassian customer, and at a previous company that was also a customer, I did a cloud migration from Jira Server to cloud. That's documented on the online community. And what I wanted to talk to you today about was a little bit about the user migration side of things, because a lot of people are very focused on migrating your projects and your issues and even your marketplace apps. But the one thing that people sometimes forget about is that users need to be migrated to the cloud as well. So yeah, let's just dive in here. So I want to talk a bit about the differences between on-prem and cloud as far as users are concerned, what you should know before you get started, testing, a little bit about Atlassian Access, and then a bit more about where you can learn more after that. So users, if you've been using a Jira server for a while, you're probably using either the internal directory or you're connecting it to an LDAP connection through Active Directory or something similar. That allows you to set your usernames to whatever you want them to be. People might be just using their first names. You might be using first initial and last name. And that is going to be in a separate directory per project. So if you have a Jira server and then you have a Bitbucket server as well, they're keeping separate user directories unless you're using something like Crowd to centralize that, or you're using your Jira server as a Crowd server. But those are independent directories at that point. And one of the main things that's different with cloud is that you have to use your email address to act as your Atlassian ID. So anyone who's using a username that's something like first initial last name, that is not something that's recognized by the cloud platform, and that is something that needs to be changed ahead of going there. On cloud, you're also going to have your user management centralized from the products using an Atlassian organization, as opposed to each product owning their own set of users. So I wanted to pull this out specifically from the cloud migration documentation. This is the blurb specifically about migrating users and groups, and I wanted to highlight the fact of how much there is there, just not to scare you about migrating users, but just to make you aware that there are definitely things that you need to be thinking about when you're doing this. So before you do get started on that, I highly recommend reading through the cloud migration documentation, especially the migration assistant. You're going to want to have a plan of how you're going to change your usernames to using email addresses if you're not doing that today. I know I did the migration back in 2019. And what we ended up doing, and I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it, but we ended up making a copy of our database and then changing the user IDs from the first initial last name into the email address ahead of doing our migration to the cloud. And then additionally, you'll want to look at how you want to have your users authenticate when you go to the cloud. So if you're looking for just, users log in, they use their email address and their password, you probably don't have to change anything. If you're looking to make use of single sign-on, or you want to not have to worry about managing your user accounts in the cloud application and have them come from a third-party identity provider, you're going to want to look at other options. Atlassian Access is probably the best option out there, but there are some marketplace apps that work directly with each individual product, but they don't necessarily cover you off from the overarching user management. Sorry, 1 second here. Sorry about that. Okay, so I know this is probably more of a generic cloud migration statement. I know that this was our pitfall when we went to do our first production migration, which failed. We didn't do enough testing. So we did one push to the cloud, and we had a few of our power users test things, and we thought things were good. And then we found out that there were a number of users who weren't. So my recommendation is be sure that you're going to have a wide range of users that can test this. Not just your go-getters, but also try and pull on the people who, don't necessarily use the tool once in a while. Make sure that the people that are doing this both have, say, a community account and they don't have one. That was the big one that hit us, is that the people who were testing already had community accounts, so that when we did the migration, they already had Cloud ID and it was able to easily identify them. And those that didn't, those were the ones that failed to actually migrate properly on our first time. And then I'd recommend doing the process over and over. So once we had failed, we spent the next week, we ran the migration twice a day and made sure that every time we did it, the process was repeatable and it was the same results every single time, so that we knew that when we went to do it again the following weekend, we've already done it 100 times, that we didn't have anything to worry about with it. So what is Atlassian Access? I don't really need to cover this quite so much because we had a great introduction as to what it is. The things that I'd like to highlight about what Atlassian Access can do for you is the fact that it will connect to your third-party identity providers, and that will connect to what is known as the Atlassian Cloud Organization. This is a centralized user management, which also manages all of your products. So if you're using both Jira and Confluence, they will be products connected to a cloud organization, and your users are managed at the organization level as opposed to the product levels. Now, that doesn't mean you don't manage permissions at each product, but it's just providing access to each product is done at an overarching level. And that's where Atlassian Access sits, is at the organization level. So when you are going to use single sign-on as an example of one of the features of it, every unique user that you have, you'll be charged once for. So if you have people that are using both Jira and Confluence, you will pay for one Atlassian Access license, even though they're accessing two products. As opposed to, say, some of the marketplace apps where you would be attaching it to, say, Jira and Confluence, you'd be paying for that app for both of those products because they're not being managed in a central location. Where can you learn more about Access? I would say the online community is definitely a wealth of knowledge. I'm regularly in the Atlassian Access product collection, helping answer questions. So there are some really great people there that are answering tons of questions daily. I also went to the effort to set up a walkthrough. I've used Azure AD for everything that I've done, just because it's what I'm familiar with. But if you go to YouTube and you look for Jimmy Talks Jira, I have a full playlist of all the features, setting up from your initial domain verification all the way through to how you enable SSO and how you do user provisioning, that I walk through that whole process, as well as referencing all the documentation that's involved with that. So if you're looking for a how do I set this up, that's probably a really good, useful resource to get you started on that. And then always, have a conversation with your local friendly neighborhood solution partner. These people are experts on this as well, and they will absolutely be able to help you out. And thank you very much for letting me ramble for a few minutes.
That was great, Jimmy. Thank you. JP, are you ready?
I mean, always, but we're a little ahead of schedule, so I wasn't. That's fine. Okay.
Sorry, I think Jimmy went fast on there. Don't worry, we'll make up for time on the Ask Me Anything.
All good. All right.
Do you want to
just
do
give me a
your own
second.
intro?
Yeah, no, please. Here, let me share screen. Let's make sure that this works. All right. Is this working? Can y'all see translation, not migration?
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Now I have to
So-
find this other window that disappeared. Okay.
Yeah. So JP is the Quebec City new leader, although I don't think you've had much chance to do anything in person. He also works with Adaptivus and is also an amazing cloud migration specialist. So we're getting like all three bundled into one person. So thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, all right. I don't have a lot of time, and I don't want to. I'll try to keep this succinct. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about script runner migration. I know it's a big topic every time we talk about cloud migrations. A lot of people that have been using Jira for like more than 2-3 years on prem usually have some type of automation tool, and usually it ends up being script runner. And migrating scripts to cloud is a big topic. So That's why we have this presentation called Translation, Not Migration, which is about translating your scripts to cloud, not migrating them. Today, I'll quickly go over, again, because of time, I want to make sure I get plenty of time for the AMA. I'll go over a bit the differences between the two products, the on-prem version, the cloud version, how to approach your migration, specifically regarding Script Runner, and some automation use case, and just an exploration of the tool itself really quickly. By the way, when I do these presentations, like, just interrupt me, talk over me if you need to. Like, it's no big deal at all. Please, I want to hear what you guys have to say in your experiences. So this is really just a way to get the conversation going. So yeah, same face, different brain. The reason why I have this slide is really because Script Runner Cloud and Script Runner for Jira are, even though they're all called Script Runner for Jira, they are inherently different behind the scenes. So one of them is using the REST API and not the actual, Java API or Jira API. So as you're used to on server and on DC, we use the full power of the backend. When we do things, when we're on cloud, we interact with Atlassian Connect, with Forge, and all these things. So there are some limitations as to what we do. So most of the automation that we do is through the REST API. We don't have a one-to-one parity on functionality just yet. We do want to get that, but if you have specific needs, go to our documentation site so that you can make sure that whatever you do need is available on cloud. And if not, try to find an answer for that if it's specific automation or things that you're trying to do. And the last thing that we have to talk about is the fact that we can't run code locally on cloud. So what that means is, because we don't have access to the backend, we can't just run stuff. That means that we have to use a third-party server, which is AWS, that we use to run your code. So we use Lambda for those technically savvy that wanted to know. But really what it means is just that instead of computing directly on the instance, which you do now, we have to take the code, do the computing somewhere else, and send back the stuff. So there is a connection that happens. And that's what the REST API versus API means. So using the REST API, you use puts and gets. So you put data in or you get data out. That's what a REST API is. At the end of the day, it's really about, here's the data. I want to put this data in my system, or hey, what's that data? I want to get this data from the system. So you get the data. Most of the time, what you'll end up doing is, for instance, like a custom field, as you see in this example, you're going to get the custom field, and then you're going to do whatever calculation stuff, coding, basically your automation, and then you're going to put the results on the actual site using REST API again, which is very different from what you're used to. If you're using on-prem, you're used to like using managers and going to custom field manager, getting the custom field information, doing all this stuff. So it's very different. But in the end, that's what it looks like. And once you get the hang of it, it's not that complicated. It's really just changing the mentality. Oh, and there's also a little thing about JSON. If you don't know what JSON is, JSON's a data structure. So it's basically nested data. Things that, if you know XML, if you ever seen an XML file, which is basically like, how we do, for instance, if you wanted to do like a Confluence backup and stuff, you'll get XML files, the data structure. So we use JSON all the time. And when you use the REST API, that's kind of the common thing to use when you use REST APIs. So that's what it's all about. I know this is very techy, so please, if there's a concept that I'm going over very quickly that you don't understand, that's fine. There are no dumb questions. I ask questions all the time. I barely know what I'm talking about. So just ask them. I'll try to get the answer. And if I can't, I'll find someone that can give you the answer. I promise. How we run your code, I did mention we're using a third party that we call Atlassian Connect. So basically, your code's on the Atlassian cloud. We don't host any data. We simply take the code, we throw it to AWS. AWS goes, oh, I got code. Let me, this is the answer. And AWS throws it back to Atlassian. That's as simple as it is. So we don't host anything specifically. There are some key things that for us to work, we do host, but it's not personal. Like there's no GDPR issues or any personal, HIPAA data or anything like that we host. Usually I get a ton of questions on this one. Silence. Anything? We're good? Okay. So I already been through that, kind of talking fast and so skipping some stuff. Just so y'all know, we're hosting these in the US right now, and we have a Europe server as well. So I mean, for obviously Europe is not important. I'm guessing there is someone from Amsterdam. Am I correct? So there you go. We do have Europe in Frankfurt, and we're hosting in Oregon right now for US. If there's a demand for Canadian hosting, which I hope there is someday, we'll host in Canada. That's not a problem at all. But yeah, like I said, the data that we keep is like the script config, some authentication keys to make sure that we can impersonate, but there's no actual private data that we host. How we run your code, again, because we do that on a server, we have to put some limitations in place so that we don't overload the server, which has happened like 2 weeks ago. Someone decided that they were going to change Confluence on cloud or something. And I think we got 1.2 thousand calls in a minute. That kind of like everything went down. Oh my God, what's happening? Big alerts. So we limit to 60 calls a minute usually. And then if you go over 60, so 1 per second, if you go over that. And what I mean by calls is like, for instance, you're getting a custom field, right? So if you get a custom field, that's a call, a REST API call. If you put data somewhere, that's another call. So that's 2 calls in one script. And then we have a 120-second max runtime. Honestly, this rarely happens that we go over that. We do have some way to buffer all of these. If you need more, let us know. If it's for a period of time, like, hey, we're doing this intensive thing that we need to do, reach out to support. We may be able to help. But I've rarely seen scripts that actually like that always go over 120 unless it's a specific task you're trying to accomplish. Like if you have a script right now that's running every minute that takes 2 minutes, I'm sorry, but we need to look at that code and make sure it's fine. So, all right, let's talk about the approach. I like to see it as I know I don't look like it, but I like rock climbing. So I used to be very good at it. Now I look like this, and it doesn't happen as often. Also, it's very difficult for me to lift my weight up for long periods of time. So, but I still like rock climbing. So I'm going to use this approach because I've been watching also documentaries about people rock climbing without ropes, which is insane. And so the first pitch, which is when we are analyzing a route, there are multiple pitches, which is basically chunk of rock climbing we've got to do before we get to a spot where we can either take a break, a breather, or like it gets a bit more chill. So the first pitch is the analysis. That means not only analysis in a technical sense, but also in a business sense. Do you need that script? Why do you need that script? And if you're looking for a way to get how many scripts you got, we have a tool that we call Microscope that you can use. So if you have Microscope, you can run a scan on your server instance right now. I think it's a trial. And if you need a code for it, we'll just send you one. It's fine. Just ping us. So yeah, you can download that. It'll give you a report, an Excel file with all the scripts in your instance. That's what it looks like. It has changed maybe a little bit since I took the screenshots, but the output is still like, the output of it is still the same. So you'll get all the workflows, the status of the workflow, is it active, inactive, and then where that post function is or where that validator is in your transitions and stuff. Basically, it lists out every script and automation that you have, and not just script runner. It'll do it for GMWE. It'll do it for anything. And you can, build pivot tables out of that, go nuts on your Excel classes. You could do all the stuff that you want with Excel on that. There are more stuff that we added after that. There's like user management in there and project analysis and stuff. It's a really cool tool if you're thinking of migrating. And like I said, we'll give it to you for free. So if you need anything, just ping us. But the reason why I talk about translation is really, and that's when we get to the second pitch once we've analyzed it. Let's say I have code, right? It's written in a language, and just like French, I can say like je suis fatigué, mon enfant me réveille constamment, la nuit c'est l'enfer, because it's a real thing. Maybe I would guess like 80% of people right now don't know what I just said, or I have no real idea of what I just said, which I could throw it into Google Translate, and this is what it will tell you. and that's what it is. That's what Google Translate does. It'll translate stuff, but there's a lot of AI that goes into it and stuff. And language is something that has like rules, right? At the end of the day, it's very clearly defined. And we see that Google Translate will break when we bend those rules based on context and stuff like that, which is where Google Translate fails. And that's kind of the same thing for scripts. It's very difficult for us to build a tool that will analyze the script and say, oh, I know exactly what you're trying to do. This is how it's done. So we'll just migrate that for you, transform it. Boom, your script is now on cloud. It doesn't work that way because there's a lot of context involved when you write scripts or you write code, right? One of the reasons why I got into development was I like the idea of writing code and having my own kind of way of doing things. I thought that was a lot of fun when I was doing problem solving. So if we look at that code and I translate it, this is what it's going to look like on cloud. And as you can see, there are massive differences, right? So I'm using gets and puts to use the value. I have maps in there because I have to navigate JSONs. All this is technical stuff that is not in the first one. In the first one, it's just like, hey, custom field manager, I'm used to this. I'm going to grab the data, put the data with my managers and my update validation and all that stuff. So it's very, very different. It's next to impossible for us to automate that process. So that's really what it's all about. Look at your scripts, find out what they do, and the best way to go about them is to go about the migration is to rewrite those scripts, just like I would a novel, right? The best translators out there, they're not just going word for word. They're actually, like, I keep thinking of Alessandro Barrico, who's an Italian author, I believe. I feel like maybe he's Spanish, I'm not sure, but I think he's Italian or Portuguese. Oh, now I feel very bad, and I should have researched this before the presentation. But anyways, my wife loves his books, but she loves the French translator specifically, the way that he writes books. And one of the books I can't remember the name of is not translated by the same translator. She hates that book. Though she loves the author, she hates that one book because it's not translated the same way as the other. So that's what I'm getting to. There's a lot of nuances when you write code and then you have to switch to another way of writing code. There's a lot of nuances, and that's why we recommend that you translate your code. Don't try to reproduce it word for word and line for line. That's not going to work. So I mean, this one I'll go quickly. This is kind of my go-to, like, hey, automation use cases. If you're not using automation right now, these are some of the things that you can automate. It's not just script runner. It's also like using automation for Jira or the automation tool inside of cloud, all of these things, right? So automations, you can trigger calls to other tools and create tickets on transition automatically. You're going to update fields, anything that like is relating to a transition, the transition of an issue and moving it from things to things, triggers stuff. You can use listeners and have things trigger outside of a workflow. So when something happens on all projects, you need something to happen, you can use those listeners, and you can use like scheduled scripts or scheduled jobs to do things for you automatically based on dates. If you need to run reports, things like that, automation will be there for you. I'm at time. There's one more slide that's just me rehashing the automation use case, which I'm not going to go over, but I'm literally 15 minutes on the dot according to my Google timer. So I'm very happy with that. So I'm going to leave it at that while I'm on top, and I'll see y'all in a minute, I guess.
That was great, JP. Heather? Or is this Brendan? I know it's Heather. You're taking over now, right?
I am, as soon as I can unmute myself. I would like to take a moment just to thank all the speakers and to thank them for their time, for putting together their content, their wonderful slides. I do want to call out, it is AMA time. So we are getting ready for that. If you just give me one moment here, I will get our lovely AMA setup going.
So for those, Brendan, maybe you could explain the Slido for questions
Yes.
if anyone.
Yes, so for those that have already connected to Slido, I already see we've got a good stream of questions in the Q&A chat. So if your question's already been asked, you can vote for that, and that moves it up in the list. We'll sort of start at the most popular questions, work our way down, and see what see where we get to in the time allotted. If you don't have, if you haven't already connected to the Slido, I don't know if we've got a slide that presents it, but we'll get that in a second there. Okay. All right. So I think, so Heather, are you setting up the?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one moment here.
All right. If there are any other, any other questions in the chat or something like that, we'll get those routed and asked if as time allows.
Okay.
So everyone getting ready for Canada Day? Everyone getting ready for their long weekend? Yay. I can fill in like time while she's getting set up, but here we go.
Yes, my
That's good.
apologies on this. It's decided that I have to be in
Oh
here
my
today.
gosh, this is so cute.
Oh,
You're part of it.
This is
Yeah.
great.
Not quite in position yet. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
We have to
okay,
like,
we're working on this. Hold on, I'm
we're
gonna
almost there. Okay.
get down here. It's decided that it wants.
There
me-
we go.
All right.
This is so
You have
much
some
fun.
Jeopardy music queued up too.
Do, 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 do. I can sing well. Do, 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 do.
All right.
All right.
There's a question about how we access Slido. Do you just, oh, there we
Yes,
go.
I just posted
Thank you.
a link to the chat, so that should help you get there. All right, well, I think we've got everybody, so we can get started. So first question we've got on that's been voted by the most people. Any updates on data residency in Canada? According to Cloud Roadmap, this has been pushed to Q1, Q2 2023.
I can take that one, even though I'm not on the panel.
Please
Like,
do.
why aren't you with us?
Oh, probably because I can't answer the rest of the questions on there. So yes, unfortunately, it did get moved out to Q1, Q2, as you can see on the public roadmap. So I'm just going to put that link in the chat so that you too can also take a look at any time. We do update that page. I believe it's quarterly. So, and the area to look on the cloud roadmap is if you click on data management under category, and then scroll down a little bit and you'll be able to see Canada, data residency in Canada. And it is tied together with data residency for the UK as well as Japan. So it still says Q1, Q2, 2023. That is not, until it still says future on there, until it says released or so released, that date can change, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get pushed out again, but that is a strong possibility. So it's not a strong possibility. It could happen. So I don't know. I don't have any more details except for what's on the public roadmap, unfortunately. And I hope that it still stays at Q1, Q2, 2023. That is calendar year 2023. So if there's any changes at all, I will update the partners and they will, and of course this page gets updated as well. So I know that wasn't really informative, but that's what I know.
All right, thank you. Next question, and this might be for Jimmy, but feel free for anybody else to chime in there. We currently use both SSO and users created directly in the Jira user directory. Is this possible with Access?
Yeah, so I actually can't answer that one because I answered it in the community not too long ago. I'm going to put a feature request that is in jared.atlassian.com. It is in progress. It is not something that's available today, but Atlassian is working on it. Basically, the challenge there is you're having to provide SSO or user provisioning to a domain that is not yours that you own. And that is challenging. So they're working on trying to make it available for things like Gmail accounts, because that's one of the most obvious ones that people will attempt to use without having, domain verification done, because obviously you can't own Gmail. So not today, but definitely something Atlassian's working on.
Right. Thank you.
But Jimmy, that doesn't apply to customers, right? To service desk customers.
That is
Like service desk customers would not. Even
right.
if
This
your
is talking about
company-
Atlassian Access, though, right? So with Access, you
Right,
need
it
to
would-
verify a domain, which means you are saying, I
Right.
own acme.com, and you provide all the information that proves you own acme.com before you can say, I'm going to enforce SSO authentication for all users that are part of my, Jimmy at acme.com, which is different than service desk customers.
I think what we usually see is people, I mean, in the past, we've seen organizations create emails for their vendors or people that are coming in, right? I mean, you'd create a custom email for them for the duration of the contract if you need to, or forever or whatever. But that's the only like efficient way to do this. But that's outside of just like, that's one of the ways to attack vendors and third parties coming in to any IT system, I guess.
All right, thank you. I think this one's more for Krista and JP. What was the hardest migration you've had to pull off to date? And what tips can you share about that migration?
I'll say it's leveraging off of what Jimmy had said during his presentation, that the trickiest parts have actually surprised me a bit because they have to do with user migration. There's a lot of things that can exist in a server environment that you maybe aren't really aware of, all the various email addresses you've created user profiles with. And you really need to be careful and sort through exactly what your users look like on server before you attempt to start doing your migrations. The more planning you do ahead of time with that, the better off it is. Because once you start migrating users to the cloud and you haven't thought through all those things, it becomes difficult to clean them up in the cloud. So it's not a particular migration, but it's just a warning that I hadn't really been thinking about the user piece, and it isn't a key one to do.
For us, I mean, yeah, user accounts are a big one. Just the way that users are handled in cloud versus what they've always been handled like in server, I mean, is completely just different. I mean, if I'll go a little bit different, and I'll say the people. The reason why I say the people is we've done some massive migrations here at Adaptivist, and some of them have been public, so I can talk about them a little bit, like ARM and Splunk and all that. And we've noticed that the best migrations are the ones where stakeholders stay the same and goals stay the same. When things are shifting all the time and specific requirements change during migration, that can derail the whole thing. So what we've noticed, and you can really see it in both migrations and the presentations that we've made, is both of these had key stakeholders, and I mean like one or two person that were really pushing for a specific vision for cloud and the way that it was going to be handled in cloud, and that was the best. And so one of these, that person stayed on and it went smooth the whole way. Lots of things change and stuff, but we had the same requirements and goals at the end of the day every single month. Whereas the other one, that stakeholder changed and it was very, very difficult. And we started hitting walls that weren't technical. They were like, oh, for instance, we said we'd get rid of this because we wouldn't need it. But now a month later, oh, now we really need that thing. And so, well, hold up, because you said, but it's the people. So to me, it's really, you need to have a clearly defined path to cloud, and you need to organize that around. And that's where either you have a strong leadership team that are going through this internally, or you use partners, obviously, and stuff to help you kind of navigate that, but really have a clear destination path.
All right. Okay, next question for Jimmy. In our server version of Jira, we make heavy use of user properties for saving information like Office or Manager. Is there any way to do that on cloud?
So again, I will throw a link in here, which is user provisioning. This is Atlassian Access documentation on user provisioning. This shows what you'll need to scroll down to the supported user account operations, and that will give you a list of the user properties that you can synchronize to cloud users. I don't think Manager is one of them, but that's what you have to work with.
All right. Next up, many of our users use dashboards in server. How do we migrate a dashboard, especially if the admin does not have access?
So, I mean, do you want to? I mean, I don't
Go right ahead.
For me, it's like the one reason just recently we kept using full site migration because the client had a lot of dashboards that they wanted. And I can't imagine migrating 1,000 dashboards without full site import.
That's the answer right there. There are tools now enabled on Data Center to switch ownership of dashboards, even if you're not the owner of it now. So you could use that feature, but really full site import is going to be your full site export, whatever. It's going to be your best solution. If not, then you'd have to manually change the ownership, which is I don't recommend doing that, but you could.
We have used, it's not helpful in actually migrating the data, but we've made use of SQL queries to help consolidate that information, and you can at least distribute lists to people and saying, here's all your dashboards, like which ones do you really need? Are you even aware you have this many? That only will help you plan the manual part.
All right. So I'm just going to jump to the question in the chat there so we don't forget about it. So if I understand correctly, migrating our server instance into the cloud with the tools in Jira, it will only migrate the data, but all the configuration done with plugins needs to be redone manually. Hence, should we do the configuration prior to the migration of the data so it doesn't break anything?
I'm sorry, I was trying to read that on slide. It's not on Slido, is it?
It's not on Slido. No, it's just in the chat. Sorry,
okay, hold up. Sorry, I was trying to find that
while
question
you're
while
reading.
You were reading it.
Yeah, while you're reading, I can say that it's difficult to make a general statement like that because every app is going to be slightly different. Some of the apps that are part of the JCMA migration tool, they may migrate some of the configurations, not just related data, and others won't. And I have never seen, I actually don't even see really good patterns showing up with various app vendors. And some app vendors have excellent documentation and some don't. It's a big part of your migration planning is you actually have to go through each app and figure it out.
Yeah, there's a reason why the recommendation is if you have over 6 apps, you should absolutely look into getting a partner. I would argue that depending on what app, even if you only have 3, you should still, depending on what app. And yeah, so some of the apps that are out there are part of the GCMA tool now, so that does make it helpful. But like for instance, even ScriptRunner, right? We're part of it. We can move some data, but at a first glance you might say, oh, it's part. Okay, great, awesome. It'll migrate everything. Nope. We don't translate the scripts to cloud. We don't do all of these things. So the answer is, yeah, I've done that list so many times for customers. It's like, even if it says it's cloud migration ready, you got to dig in and try to find out what that means. Because being cloud migration ready is the requirements is not super heavy. Like you don't need to do a lot of things as an app partner to get cloud migration ready, as long as you have documentation available to the customer on how and a path for migration, which again is kind of loose a little bit. then you'll have the cloud migration ready tag. So really go in, especially on critical apps, which is why I recommend if you do a migration, do have a list of priorities for your apps. Like these are must haves, cannot change anything, need to be the exact same, down to maybe this one is not even useful anymore. We don't know. So have that list of prioritization so that you can go in and do the proper research for the one that are important. And then the other ones, maybe you don't have to spend as much time trying to figure out.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we've still got a good chunk of time yet. Is Atlassian Access the only way to enable SSO in the cloud? It's included in Cloud Enterprise, but an add-on in the lower tiers. Is that correct?
I can talk about that. So no, it's not the only way. I like links. So I will give you, this is a marketplace search for hosting type cloud and the keyword SSO. There are a few apps there, but just bear in mind that that is putting the app directly into the product that you're talking about, as opposed to Atlassian Access working on the overall instance. And yes, it is free for enterprise, but at the lower levels, it is a separate product that you need to purchase.
What exactly do you plan to comply to IT AR CCG regulations? Meaning you also won't have right to access cloud-based in customer data.
I can answer that one because I asked somebody. So we're evaluating how to make cloud IT AR compliant. However, there is no timetable for this yet. Our first goal is to become FedRAMP moderate compliant, which will happen in 2023. So I don't know if that answers the question.
All right.
Sort of.
Yes. Given recent service disruption on Atlassian Cloud, are you planning to extend support for on-premises instances?
I can also answer that one as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're not planning to extend support for our server products, but if the customer wants to stay on-prem, they can look at our data center offerings. And then the incident, the outage only really affected 0.1% of our customers. So it's just important to note that. And so, yeah, if we're not going to extend support on server, but you can take a look at our data center products.
Aside from ScriptRunner, what is the most difficult marketplace app to migrate?
Okay, that's there's it could be a lot. It could be some. So I mean, there are ones that are maybe heavier, I'll say, to migrate. Thinking of tempo and some structure. Well, it used to be structure, all that stuff. So really depends on the app. The ones I know, like I said, that we have, I always look out for the big threes at the top there. So the tempos, big picture, all that stuff is going to be a bit more tricky because they're usually filled with data. More data you have, the more heavy it's going to be. So yeah.
Can you expand on the security around Bitbucket in the cloud? There are risks in moving this to cloud that keeping on-prem doesn't have. Everyone's a little, I know my organization's a bit apprehensive about moving code to the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the security around Bitbucket, it's the same as for Jira and all that. So if your organization is risk averse, as we've seen, then there is a data center product out there to help you keep your stuff on-prem. Firewalls, cutting off access, all that stuff is always just going to be available on data center, or at least as far as I know. Maybe the roadmap has changed, but that's the nature of the beast. So as far as specific like security requirements and stuff outside of your normal IT organization and figuring out what you have as security protocols, then they're the same as Jira or Confluence.
And just to add to that, we are seeing more customers buy Bitbucket Cloud. So in Canada, so it's not, more and more. So which is good to see.
Also, just putting it out there, Bitbucket Data Center is completely different than Jira or Confluence in that they have lower user tiers because Data Center was designed as a more of a proxy environment at first, as opposed to it being the scaling for the higher level tiers. So it's if you want to stay on premise and you're on server, Data Center actually isn't a terrible shift at this point.
Good point.
And the systems can still communicate to each other reasonably well. Like you can have Cloud, Jira, and
I mean,
Confluence.
Bitbucket Server and Bitbucket Data Center, Data Center is basically a multi-node server. That's what
Right.
it comes down to.
Companies like Microsoft often offer extended support for discontinued products at escalating cost. Is Atlassian likely to offer this service?
I can take that one. And as far as I know, I don't know of anything in the works, but I can definitely take that question back to give you a firm answer on that. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Next up, can you expand on security around Bitbucket? Oh, yeah, we covered that one. Okay, it must have popped back up there. For hosting scripts, do we need to host the Lambda scripts on our AWS instance, or is there an Atlassian instance?
Yeah, so I guess this one's for us. The answer is actually it's hosted. You're not hosting anything on the Lambda is kind of like I don't know, snap of a finger. Is like it's something that you send to AWS, it consumes, and then it disappears. So that's the idea of microservices for AWS. If we want to go in depth with that, we can. But really, we're hosting an AWS instance. You don't have to host anything. And like I said, there are 2 instances for now. It could be a 3rd one. We're very agile. So we do things and they happen, and then I know about it like a week later. Or sometimes we think we're going to do things, and then turns out we didn't do the thing. So I think there's two servers, but there could be more. One in Europe and one in US. But really, we're hosting AWS, so you don't have to worry about all that stuff. I just wanted to explain the tech behind it and how it works.
Next question. What is the status on custom URLs in cloud? And they link a
Yeah, very old ticket. Everyone knows this one who's been on cloud. Joanne, do you have any
Cloud
specific
69.99.
information for this? Because the only thing I would say is the last update was April 28th of 2022. And they said they're on track to deliver them in 2023.
So that's
No, I don't have anything on that, but I can also take that one back. Let me just click on it.
all right. Got a few minutes left scheduled and a few questions, so we'll try and get through the last of these. What would a good strategy be to take script runner post functions and try to use automate for Jira to achieve the same behavior? Does automate for Jira migrate okay?
Sure.
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, but it's an option. Absolutely. Depends on what you're doing. Like, some scripts won't translate to automate. If you can, yes, it's a strategy. I do have to put a little counter argument in there because I feel like it's like my job to do that. But obviously, if you're on a standard tier or something like that, these automations will count towards your limit of automation. So the beauty of having a third-party automation, and I'm going to take myself out of it, and it could be JSU, JMW, any of the ones out there, they're not tied to a tier, and they're not tied to a number of automate. Like you don't have like a maximum 500 per month or whatever. The only max, for instance, that we have is 60 per minute, which should be more than fine for most users. So that's the only thing I'll say. But yeah, sure, Susan, you can do that.
I'll be the non application vendor and respond that I think it really depends how you're using all these apps. We've had a client that was only using them for a handful of workflows, and the feature parity wasn't exactly there. And for that client, yeah, it seems like a reasonable alternative to just adopt Jira automation instead, because if you aren't using Script Runner for anything else, you probably don't need to spend your money there. But like with all of these migration decisions, you have to take a look at the big picture as well as the finer details to figure out the right answer.
Thank you.
Is there any advantage to delaying deployments of CMDB until cloud, or other ways to strip down the footprint to expedite migration?
So I'm guessing we're talking
Hmm.
about migrating Insight, right? Okay.
That's my guess too.
Depends.
Migrating. Thank you.
So, do you want to take it? I don't know if
No, I don't. Yeah. No,
I mean,
go ahead.
it really depends on what you're doing. I mean, obviously the migration isn't easy. JSM migration right now is still, going along. The tools aren't the same as they are for GCMA and all that. So depends on where you're at. If you absolutely need CMDB, I'll never say, hey, wait for like 6 months. But you got to understand. I mean, depends on what you're doing. I'm very sorry. This is a tricky question. Truth is, it's not going to be easy to migrate. Depends on what your needs are right now. That's my answer.
Okay. Let's see. I think we've got only a few minutes left. So, top of your head, 10,000 users, 12 apps, Jira, Confluence, 100 projects, 100 spaces, weeks, months, years. How long do you need for that? That's a tall question for the last. But
I'll start.
Well,
How
it's
about
bigger than
I'll-
a bread box.
I'd like to put some clarification on there. I did a migration without a partner, mainly because my company wasn't willing to spend the money on it. We were 115 users, about 30 projects, about 40,000 issues, no apps, and it took me 3 months to do it by myself.
I'll take that answer.
So yeah,
So very small, and it took me 3 months to do it by myself. So if you're looking at bringing a partner on board, you're probably going to drastically reduce the amount of time it's going to take. If you're planning on trying to do it by yourself with, only 1 or 2 people attached to that, years is possible and what it might take you.
Yeah.
No.
That's not the short end of the scale. I'll say that example. Yeah.
all right. Okay, why don't we make this last question? Apologies for some of the others that we didn't quite get to, but what happens after the cutoff date? We're still waiting on some plugins to be updated so we can start migrating, and it is possible that we will be delayed. So 2024, February 2024 rolls around and you're not migrated, what happens?
As far as I know, support will be cut. So
That's the extent. Yeah. So a server license, a perpetuity license, you're renewing your service contract. So basically, I mean, one of the things that we tell our customers, if it's still going to be up, it's going to be running. You're not going to get any patches, not going to get any updates or anything like that, but your add-ons will work. Everything will work as is. So if it's a 6-month thing, then yeah, but if the issue is that you're waiting for some apps to be, updated or a cloud version is to be, first of all, I would look into that. A lot of apps right now, smaller apps, when you have like the apps that have like 12 installs up to like 120 installs or something, like some of them are created by, someone in a basement that needed to fix this problem. So they created the app. They don't intend to support it anymore anyways. They never really did. Some of these things happen. So I would absolutely research those and maybe not hope that something happens and maybe be proactive about it, meaning reach out to the vendor, see if they respond. And if not, try to find an alternative on the marketplace, which there surely probably will be.
Or an alternative in native functionality. There's cloud
yeah.
has just changed so much from server that you have to have a look at that. I would say the other thing about after support is gone is just you're at risk. So your risk increases every day. If there's, for example, a security vulnerability found, there will be no answer for you on server. So
And there'll be a lot of servers out there that are going to stick around. So I think there may be an enticement or someone with nefarious thoughts and ideas may decide to do something about that, and there's going to be a ton of servers out there ready, like just right there. So I would think about moving to DC or cloud for sure. Also note that all the server apps that don't have a data center equivalent will work on data center if possible. So there's a chance that's a thing as well. So hey.
And I hate to say it, but 2024 will be here sooner than later. So the earlier you plan, hopefully with a partner, the better off you'll be. So just looking at options, or doing an assessment to figure out what that's going to look like in terms of timeline, and what you're going to need to migrate, if that is something that is of interest.
Okay, we are at time for the AMA. Thank you so much for fielding the barrage of questions there. We have one last sort of fun activity for everybody that's hung in here for the whole show. So it's quiz time. If you haven't already connected to Slido, you can do so just by following this QR code or going to slido.com and punching in the ID number. Make sure you enter a unique username. Partners have the PTR because unfortunately you're not eligible to win stuff, and we just need to be able to, you can participate, but we need to distinguish people. Okay, I think next slide. Okay, so we've got a quiz prepared for you. We've got 12 questions on a variety of subjects. They're multiple choice answers. So you're going to have about 30 seconds to enter in a correct answer. And basically, the most correct responses will win, with speed being the tiebreaker. So you want to be quick on guessing your answers. And the top 10 participants, or top 10 people will win there. So let me just bring up here, if you'll let me screen share. All right. You can see that okay? All right. Oh yeah, no, just let everybody give it a minute or so for people to join in.
Isha, you can't play. You already saw the quiz.
I know. I just wanted to experience it with everyone, but I know that I'm not going to win.
She wants all the prizes.
No. It's just not allowed prizes either. So.
She's just gonna see if she does better this time, that's all.
Jimmy, are you
Yeah.
gonna try to play again? You already know the answer.
I'm
too.
doing exactly what Heather just said. I want to see if I can do better than last time.
Oh my God, you guys are terrible. Okay, I'll join. Okay, I'm gonna join too then.
All right.
If people are curious, when we ran this with the other ACE leaders, Heather was the winner.
What I'm gonna do is gonna have my husband play behind me. Babe, you're up.
What?
I joined too. But what if I win?
Are the quiz questions about Canada?
Yes, they are about Canada. Yes. So, but it's multiple choice, so you've got a 1 in 4 shot anyways. You can take a lucky stab in the dark there. All right, I see we've got 23 participants on the Slido at the moment. We're down to about 34 in the Zoom meeting. So give it another moment or so, and then we'll get rolling here. All right, I don't see anyone else joining, so we will get on here. All right, first question. How many provinces and territories do not share a border with the United States? 3, 4, 5, or 6? We got 15 seconds left.
Now this is where we needed the music.
Yes, 5 seconds. All right, so those are the results. And the correct answer was 5. Those territories are Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Newfoundland and Labrador, PEI, and Nova Scotia. So next question. Which is the longest river in Canada? The St. Lawrence, the Mackenzie, the Yukon, or the Saskatchewan? Ten seconds left. All right. And more than half guessed the correct answer, which is the Mackenzie. All right. Next question. What is the official bird of Prince Edward Island? Is it the blue jay, the green heron, the yellow warbler, or the red-tailed hawk? All right, 10 seconds. All right. Well, people seem to know their birds here because it is in fact the blue jay. Next up, during the 1890s Yukon Gold Rush, prospectors were required by Canadian authorities to bring with them enough food to last them how long? 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months? Ten seconds. All right, a lot of different answers there. And the correct one is 12 months. They needed to bring a full year's worth of food in order to enter Canada in order to find their fortune in the Yukon Gold Rush. All right. In which year did Newfoundland and Labrador officially become a Canadian province? 1901, 1923, 1949, or 1955? 10 seconds. All right, looks like most people know their history on that front. It was 1949. First became a province there. All right, the very first Tim Hortons coffee shop opened in 1964 in which city? St. John's, Newfoundland, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Manitoba, or Hamilton, Ontario? Ten seconds.
Also, no Googling, right?
You got to be really quick at your Googling, I guess. But yes, please refrain from cheating. Amazing that everybody that answered that did in fact get the correct answer. I guess people know their coffee.
Hey, what can you say? Us and our coffee, come on.
All right. Beloved Jeopardy host Alex Trebek was born in Ontario in which community? Was it Ottawa, Sudbury, Hamilton, or Thunder Bay?
Do, 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 do. Sorry, can't resist. I've been having this one stuck in my head the whole time.
Yeah.
My fault. Sorry about that.
All right. A lot of people with the right answers this time, so because it is in fact he was in fact born in Sudbury, Ontario. All right. Which American TV show is based on a novel by Canadian author Margaret Atwood? Was it Killing Eve, The Handmaid's Tale, The Queen's Gambit, or Outlander? Ten seconds. Most people guessed the correct answer, Handmaid's Tale. All right.
I can't believe we got Tim Hortons right and not Margaret Atwood.
Which musical artist slash group has won the most Juno Awards? The Tragically Hip, Anne Murray, Nickelback, or Celine Dion? Or just the hip if you want to refer to that.
about to
10
say.
seconds.
Just the hip if you're hip.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
All right, yes. Diverse group of answers there, and for the first time, the majority was not correct there. And Anne Murray has won the most Junos of any Canadian artist. All right. Switching to sports. How many teams are there presently in the CFL, the Canadian Football League? 7, 8, 9, or 10? 10 seconds. All right. And half the people got it right with 9 teams. I think we got British Columbia, Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Hamilton, Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal. Am I missing anybody? I think that's everybody. Yeah. 9 teams. All right. Which NHL franchise was relocated in 2011 to become the new Winnipeg Jets? Was it the Hartford Whalers, the Atlanta Thrashers, the Minnesota North Stars, or the Phoenix Coyotes?
Question is, how many hockey buffs do we have on this call?
Yes.
I'm not a hockey buff and I know the answer to this one.
All right. And the majority got it right again.
Oh,
Atlanta Thrashers. All right. So the original Winnipeg Jets left in the 90s to become the Phoenix Coyotes, but the Atlanta Thrashers returned in 2011. And last question. Which of the 2010 Winter Olympic mascots was officially designated a sidekick? Was that Miga the Sea Bear, Quachi the Sasquatch, Sumi the Thunderbird, or Muck Muck the Marmot? I don't know how well you know your Olympic mascots there.
These are hard, Brendan.
There's a reason we made him the quiz master.
Yeah.
All right. And again, the majority manages to finish strong there with Muck Muck the Marmot was officially designated a sidekick, but still got plenty of merchandise. So, all right, so we should be able to see the winners here.
Woo!
Woo.
Congratulations. So we've got up at the top Jonathan Bieber in second place, Kristen with only a 5-second difference there, Ming Zhang, Daniel Alonso, Martin in the top 5, but we got prizes for the top 10. And so we've got looking at some of the others. We've got Jeff, Andre, Martin,
We can't see that. Is there a way
and
to?
Yeah,
no,
display
it's
that?
on my other screen there. So
Oh, I see. Okay, so we kind of need to know who they are. Are we going to have them email you, or should we try to grab some of them now?
yes, so I think if we can try and grab some of the people there.
Can you read out those last 5 names for us?
Yeah, let me just move this over.
There we
So
go.
Oh, there we go.
okay. So yeah, Jonathan Bieber, Kristen, Ming, Daniel, Martin, Jeff. Now we have a few of the ACE leaders and PTRs here, so we'll skip over those. And then it should be Andre, Martin, Nima, and Gutham. I think
No,
those.
Nima, I'm a partner.
Yeah,
Ah.
Give Nima.
All
Nima's
right.
a partner.
All right, then Gotham and David. I think that's 10.
Sorry, who are my next 5 then? Jeff.
Jeff.
My husband, I want to just point out, is my husband who played. I didn't play.
Okay,
That's
you want to
fine.
give it to him?
Yeah, he got 7th. He got 7th, babe.
Okay.
And I didn't help. I didn't help. Promise. Yeah, he only got 7th place. Not happy with himself. Okay.
So sharing an email address, if you can send a private message either to Susan or to Frida with just your email addresses, we will get that sorted sort of behind the scenes in the next couple of days and get that out to you. So
Yeah, so we're chatting the people that won. And if you can share. So who do I have? I have Jeff.
looking at the
Jeff, Andre, Martin,
Andre.
Gutham. My apologies.
Susan.
Yeah.
Okay.
David.
And then my husband, I know who he is.
okay.
So. Can I get yours? No. Andre. Okay, great. Thank you, Andre, for sending your email. I've got Jonathan's email, got Ming's email. Gotham, I got your email. Do not shut down this, Heather. We're going to need to go back and circle around for that. Who else am I missing?
I am not shutting anything down yet.
Okay.
All right.
And Jeff. Okay, I got Jeff.
Okay.
Got a bunch. I think I've got everybody. So like if your name is called out in the top 10 and you don't get an email from myself introducing you to the partner that's going to give you a lovely prize. We can probably get rid of the Jeopardy one now.
Yeah.
I've been trying for a couple of minutes to do that, actually. It wouldn't let me.
All
Right. And if we could get everybody's faces up, everyone, if you can take yourself off
You
screen,
want to
love
just
get a
turn the
group
video
shot.
on briefly, yeah.
Turn video on briefly so we can get a good email from everybody. That would be great. So we're so glad for everyone arriving, and thank you for all everyone. So glad everyone was able to join us. Okay, Frida, did you get a picture? Oh, we got a few more people
are
coming
still
up.
coming on.
Yeah, I can't do this with my setup at the cottage, so somebody else is taking some shots.
Yeah.
Frida,
I got
Heather.
it.
All right.
Oh, Frida, you're the best. Thanks. Yeah, it's very colorful. It looks great, everybody.
All right.
Okay, I'm getting all the names here. This is great. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
So we do also have, as well as if you do not hear from anybody over the next couple days, we have Brendan's email here. So for our lovely prize winners,
Yep.
thought I would share this so you guys have a chance to grab his email address.
Or you can always just go to your host if you haven't
Yes.
heard and you know that you
Yeah,
want. We'll
yeah.
make sure that happens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll make sure we get your All the prizes are the same, sorry, but a big thank you to all of our sponsors who very generously offered up e-gift cards to to our winners, and we thank you so much for sponsoring this event. And
Yeah.
Brendan, that was an amazing quiz. I still didn't. Yeah, I watched my husband struggle with it. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for attending. We hope this was informative and fun and whatnot, and we can't wait to do something again next year similar.
Well, and to all the leaders who put this on, thank you for going to the effort to put this together. It was a fun event.
Really
It's too
fun.
bad it's
Fun
only
event.
once a year. I just saw, see you next year. We should do something
Yeah.
for Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Maybe Canadian Thanksgiving, right? Isn't that October?
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that. So, yeah, best way to wrap this up is basically happy Canada Day, everyone. Enjoy your long weekend. And for those of you that also work for American companies, enjoy the double long weekend with it lining up with July 4th as well.
Yeah.
So,
See you all soon. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Happy Canada Day.
Thank you so much, everybody.